very shortly here. We've got the very vaunted Sonic versus Zelda sprite matchup here. It looks like we are underway.
We are indeed, and I will still be waiting for the sword. Oh, this is going to be a super fast escape with that mirror.
And we get a very quick dungeon check. We have a red crystal at Eastern, green pendant at Hera, normal crystal at Desert.
And this is consistent with the way that they played in the past. They both like doing that super early map check after lifting up those two bushes.
So let's see what our runners get from the uncle here to go along with their early mirror pickup. And it is the bow.
I have once gotten to see this bow start and a player deciding to head straight over to Eastern to clear that crystal. But in general, it is still Kakariko that will be the first place to visit. And something else this bow does is, assuming your arrows hit, is that you have plenty of them and will be able to do a good amount of farming to try and locate those early game bombs.
Absolutely. All the farming available to you here to get that most coveted bomb, to get those 3 items out of the escape here. We'll see how quickly that bomb drops for either of these runners here. Datlossit electing to not farm any of those green guards, instead heading straight towards the basement.
Samura1man's going to be able to get 4 bombs from one of those green guards. It does seem a bit more unlikely that Samura1man will continue to do farming here, but getting some added rupees for the bottle merchant and possibly having to buy bombs in Kakariko is still a little bit on your mind.
Yeah, I would imagine 4 bombs is a good, you'd be content with that, but I would not, oh, there's the 4 bombs for Datlossit right there from that green guard. We'll see if either runner elects to continue doing some additional farming, maybe just taking care of some guards that happen to be on your way.
That is the most likely conclusion to bring. Still always a possibility to just go ahead and slaughter some snakes. They tend to be very well positioned for the bow.
Shouldn't be seeing that many green guards though, as with that mirror they should be able to warp right back to the entrance once getting Zelda and going right into the sewers.
Yeah, as stated, it's an extremely fast escape thanks to that mirror, and also finding the small key here with Zelda. Oh, Samura1man is not familiar with using the mirror to get back to the entrance. It's extremely unfortunate.
That gives Datlossit probably at least a minute, maybe a minute and a half of advantage here, assuming Samura1man does not have an epiphany here, and Datlossit are already into the sewers, while Samura1man going the way to the sewers that you would do 99.9% of the time, but with that mirror, you have the means to get straight to it.
Indeed, it's one of those things that it happens so rarely that if you're not familiar with it or have seen other players do it, it doesn't come to your mind, as to speak.
Oh, I'm certainly guilty of failing to recall that particular wrinkle of the rando here, but Datlossit taking full advantage of it, and he is just moments away from revealing the 3 items here with one of his 5 bombs.
Leaving out that blue rupee there is a bit interesting. Both our players have had some nasty encounters with Sora in the past. In fact, Datlossit had a match where he actually visited Sora 3 times in order to finally be able to pay him and get ripped off. And with that map, we will have a item at Sanctuary, but just a big heart there and some area capacity upgrade.
Outside of the mirror and the bow, nothing too noteworthy here in the escape sequence, but we'll see if the Sanctuary happens to take issue with that phrase.
Will it? It won't.
Not so much.
Well, 71 rupees, 3 bombs is still perfectly acceptable moving into Kakariko.
No doubt. Datlossit exiting the Sanctuary just past the 5-minute mark. We'll see how much of a difference he has over Samura1man with the mirror difference there. Datlossit electing to go north here, perhaps doing a lumberjack check before entering the Lost Woods.
This is consistent with past matches that both our players actually do prefer to go and check lumberjack after finishing escape. No, an arrow pull is not all that bad if you have the bow start.
Definitely a nice compliment for the early bow. Let's see what we have here in lumberjack. It is just 10 arrows or capacity. I couldn't tell, but otherwise rather irrelevant.
It was 10 arrows, and if you can pull a tree to get more than 10 arrows, you will not be spending that time just to get 10. Samura1man finishing off his escape is a little bit past 6 minutes. That's a very nice bundle of rupees there laying around in the forest.
Decent little hoard that'll certainly alleviate any early rupee concerns and make a very good dent into the Zora fund. And there's a mushroom right next to its vanilla location.
Now the witch is a bit difficult to check this early on. It's quite a trip over there for just one item location, and if you're going to be visiting Zora, you tend to prefer it via a flipper method.
Absolutely here. Looks like we have about a minute, 15-second early advantage for Datlossit just from that that mirror usage versus Samura1man's not utilizing that. So we'll see if Samura1man can close that gap here in the upcoming phases of the early game here as Datlossit enters Blind Hideout. We'll see what we have in these 5 locations.
This is far from over. I mean, we're just 7 minutes in, and this could be one of those extremely long seeds, even though, by all accounts, Saga 1 doesn't seem to be required at this point. Silver arrows picked up here with the bow is gonna make Eastern Palace very quick.
Nice 7.5-minute silver arrows with bow. That's you'll take that, I'm pretty sure, with a smile. Not much else to note in Blind's Hideout as Samura1man picks up his mushroom en route to his initial Kakariko sweep.
Oh, Datlossit did pick up all the rupees there in the back, so this could be a forward-thinking plan to head to Zora. Well, 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 that's a good item to find in the well.
Absolutely, and that goes with another red item in the form of 20 rupees, so Datlossit very close, and there's the flippers, so Zora is looking very enticing, along with some boots to go, gotta go fast.
Wow, well, I guess Hype Cave has migrated to the well and just giving all the goodies here. Bottle for the Seekid check, boots for being boots, flippers opening up Zora Hobo, Kane being Kane. Yeah, I mean, wow. This does just seem to enforce, wow, also the flute.
Datlossit will be turning right back around to activate that surely here momentarily, but first going to go ahead and restock on his bomb supply.
So I was just going to say, getting the flippers and the boots, just do the standard route. You can run all over to Ice Sword Cave and use the flippers to Hobo Zora. Flute unlocks the mountain, but it's not really all that many items there. Actually, the mirror. Oh, you can do Tower of Hera.
Tower of Hera is indeed accessible. Don't have a fire source at the moment in case basement is required, but otherwise Tower of Hera is open for access, and we will see if that gets routed sooner than later. Of course, Datlossit going to go ahead and complete his Kakariko check here with the sick kid with a bottle in tow. And Sick Kid will provide the first sword of the seed.
This is most certainly a very kind opening, but this is still a Link to the Past randomizer. So a potential route that you can take here is to make the trip up to Death Mountain, do Tower of Hera, even though it is the green pennant, but if you can clear that and then make the trip to Sahasrara Eastern, which you will do at some point, that is one additional item. Also, there are the gloves.
Kakariko progression is continuing here. Absolutely crazy to get the boots that immediately lead to glove number 1 sitting there on the library shelf. Let's see what the race game has to go along with this bounty. It is just 20 rupees. That will be ignored, and Datlossit is onwards to Eastern Palace.
It's a really interesting route diversion, because the pond and then heading southeast is the general play, and he's even going straight into Eastern, not even bothering to check Sahasrara.
Seems like Datlossit is going to check Sahasrara upon completing Eastern, which presumably he's going to do, provided that he can navigate some rooms in the dark here. But I wouldn't be shocked to see him be able to do that at this level of play.
Oh, absolutely not. If you're making this play, you are confident in doing your dark rooms.
Okay, so Samura1man has identified the race item and is electing to go where?
Bonkrox, I think. Or he's gonna... Oh, he didn't activate the flute earlier. But he may opt to do Bonkrox after this. There's our second bottle with a fairy inside of it in Eastern. It's going to be Bonkrox for Samura1man. Maybe he's gonna be running all the way over to the Witch and then follow that up with a Sora.
And there's the big key for Eastern.
Oh, you did get to see what Samura1man found in that Bonkrox. So to be fair, this hammer just opened up a lot of item locations over on East Death Mountain.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I certainly called the less exciting of the items there. Wow, the hammer for Samura1man. What a divergence and what a find. Wow.
Ice Rod Cave can sadly not continue this hype going. Datlossit here doing the dark rooms. Did pick up the small key and he's done. But this is something really crazy. How do you want to route this? Datlossit made a trip into Eastern. Samura1man is making a trip up to Death Mountain. We will be leaving the pond and the Moldorm Cave for now. Actually, Samura1man starting off here with the Witch.
Just a piece of heart at the Witch, and it looks like Samura1man will be restarting and perhaps a fluting to Death Mountain at this point. We shall see, as Datlossit is navigating this room in the dark just prior to ascending up to the final floor of Eastern Palace, and it does so very well. And Samura1man electing to do the south check at this point.
Yes, and he also decided to do a hard reset after that mushroom, so he's gonna save that for a powder glitch later on in Bat Cave, since he may not be able to find the powder before going there. Samura1man is still mostly doing the standard route, just in a little bit of a different order, thanks to the flute and the boots.
And Datlossit takes care of the Armos Knights with a little bit more silver arrows than you might expect, but takes care of them, gets his first crystal. Meanwhile, Samura1man getting a blue potion bottle and the moon pearl out of the mini Moldorm cave.
And that is our Death Mountain, no, not Death Mountain, well, Death Mountain access has been available for quite some time, but that is the Dark World access with that moon pearl.
We're about to see what Sahasrara has stashed away in his closet.
So here's a little bit of a crazy thing. After these 3 items back here will be checked. Ether is pretty nice to find. But even though not Hype Cave, but Spy Cave is not in logic because they don't have any vulnerability item, they have 2 fairies, so they have a lot of health right now.
And Hobo provides a magic cape for Samura1man as Datlossit is doing his south check start now.
Okay, please. Thank you, C. Just disregard everything I say. Datlossit will get his Dark World access soon, and Samura1man is heading straight into Hype Cave.
So we have Mire and Thievestown are your 2 remaining pendants, with Turtle Rock being your other red crystal.
And suddenly this flute may not seem as attractive as it used to, because that does open up the Mire area. Meanwhile, this Hype Cave here for today, well, 20 rupees is incredibly hype, you know? Also 1 arrow, and 20 more rupees, and a piece of heart! Wow! Yeah, let's move on with our lives.
Yes, I am awash in ironic hype at this time. Maybe next time.
I guess the Hype Cave really did migrate to the well this seed. And Datlossit's gonna get his hammer now, and that is his Dark World access.
Samura1man, we're going to be seeing what's on the pyramid ledge here momentarily as Datlossit with that hammer. Let's see where he likes to go now with his access. Looks like similar routing here. And just narrow capacity upgrade on the pyramid. Let's see here it's Samura1man decides to go from there.
He could do pod if he's capable of doing the dark rooms, or confident enough to do it, but this check here is Catfish into Sora. He does not have the rupees for Sora.
Well, at the very least, may be able to see the contents of Zora Ledge and go ahead and mirror to the waterfall as well. So certainly a decent way to go about this, despite not having the funds to cover the Zora payoff.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's one of those few moments you have to try and get Catfish into your route, because it is quite far off. Samura1man's not even interested in picking up any shields this seed, just says no to that.
Well,
okay,
so
there's
much
the Zora money.
Yep, there's the Zora fee right there. So very nice payout there from the waterfall, and Samura1man going straight to Zora's domain. Let's see what we can get out of these 2 locations.
Datlossit is... ooh, there's a Master Sword on that ledge. But Datlossit seems to be maybe making the trip into Palace of Darkness.
That's what it looks like to me as well. Let's see what... we're going to get a life lesson or something of actual value.
It's going to be not the worst, but not worth 500 rupees.
Yeah, heart number 9, you won't... you'll take it, but... they'll just move on from there. Getting the Master Sword, a little bit more noteworthy for Samura1man at this point.
Absolutely, as minimum Master Sword is always required in order to finish any seed. Still have plenty of opportunities here. Village of Outcast, Thieves Town, and checking that area, and of course the entirety of Death Mountain. There's plenty of options, but Samura1man, he gets to do Palace of Darkness and Eastern back-to-back.
Indeed, looks like we're going to have some Palace of Darkness synchronicity here as Datlossit just now grabbing Kiki to get entry into said dungeon. And now Datlossit still with just the level 1 fighter sword, whereas Samura1man does now have Master Sword, so that may cause a little bit of difficulty, although with Silver Heroes, King Helmasaur is a non-issue at this point.
The main thing that this sword difference is going to do is Datlossit is going to be more incentivized to use the hammer to kill the turtles instead of using a sword spin.
Absolutely, and there's a key in the first location, so we would not have been bow locked here, but with getting the bow as your uncle item, that was never going to be a question either way. Samura1man getting access to Pod, having to get Kiki after taking some damage en route, but no matter. And Samura1man electing to mirror and do Eastern first, and then going right back into Pod, it looks like.
If I'm gonna guess, it's that the dark rooms in Palace of Darkness are harder than the one in Eastern, so this just increases the possibility of being able to find a lamp.
Absolutely, it's certainly a logical decision to give yourself more opportunity to grab the lamp and make dark room navigation a moot point. We know that will not be the case, but certainly not to a Samura1man's knowledge, as Datlossit is just going through taking care of the Gurias here, and will be on his way towards these two locations on the eastern portion of Pod here.
And already threw the bomb across, and Palace of Darkness is a dungeon of keys, many keys.
Yep, 4 of them guaranteed to be in the front portion here, and I wasn't keeping track to see if we found 2 non-keys yet, so I do believe there's going to be an item, at least a non-key, perhaps in this vanilla big key location here in Pod, but we will that will be remain to be seen here as Datlossit is making a dive towards the back.
I'll be waiting to find out about that.
With the big key, it looks like Datlossit attempting to do a hammer jump, but not getting it, pulling it off, and we'll move on towards the locations over here, towards the Harmless Hellway, and there's another 300 rupees to pen to Datlossit's rather large rupee count at this point.
And rupees are not going to be a problem here for our players to seed. Oh, 2 small keys in the dark room. So you go ahead, you check Harmless Hellway, then you do the Dark Labyrinth, get the big chest, and then you can just mirror back to the entrance and then head to Helmasaur.
That certainly seems like the game plan for Datlossit here. We'll see what we have here in the maze here in the dark.
Oh, preserving that mushroom for Batcave is a non-issue right now because the powder was just found.
Indeed it was. Let's see what we have here. It looks like Datlossit having some difficulty getting to the second chest. I think he has to go 1 level down. There he goes. And here we go. Just another 20 rupees.
And the powder is certainly a nice defensive item to have, since being able to turn the anti-fairies into fairies adds a lot of survivability.
And just the 10 bombs start. And that does appear that we have a key for a key there at the vanilla big key location. So Datlossit is free to go straight on to King Helmasaur.
And according to the map, he is missing one of map or compass. So Helmosaur is going to be having that. Meanwhile, Samura1man killed Armos. That went pretty quick.
Absolutely, both runners now at 1 crystal out of 7 for this seed, and Datlossit en route to collecting crystal number 2 out of pod. Does have to deal with extinguishing a series of turtles without the luxury of sight, so provided that can be done without much difficulty, we'll be on to King Helmosaur here. Does have a fairy in a bottle and a number of backups in case things don't go as ideally for him.
Indeed, and not even having the luxury of having the fire rod to light the torches in the room means that you are forced to do this completely in the dark.
And with just the fire sword, it's going to be a hammers. Oh, nice use of the ether medallion here to take care of 4 of them in one go.
That's number 5, only one more.
And down, very nicely done by Datlossit, and very efficiently performed without any way of seeing the 6 turtles.
This is fantastic knowledge, knowing that the ether is gonna one-shot these turtles, and also getting to see them dying is a great source of information to have there. So with Helmosaur King, you do need 17 hits with the hammer, and then after that you just need 1 silver arrow.
There's the mask, and 1 well-timed silver arrow shot, and down goes King Helmosaur. A very well-executed pod all around for Datlossit. Very nicely done. That's his 2nd crystal, and there is the map.
And 2 crystals down, 2 well-executed dungeons. And he still has plenty of places to go in his routing. Village of Outcast, Thieves Town area is available. And of course the entirety of Death Mountain. So where is he going? I'm pretty certain he went up and checked the pyramid.
Maybe he's wanting to go straight up to Catfish, perhaps? I'm not sure. This is not often you see the exit from pod in this fashion, but oh, he's going up to Pyramid, presumably to a Catfish check, I suppose.
I thought he went up to the Pyramid earlier, but okay, he didn't do that, so Pyramid into Catfish, yeah, makes a lot of sense.
With the ledge identified, on his way towards Catfish and Zora check, just as Samura1man did about 5-10 minutes previously, as we see Samurai doing the same darkroom navigation, getting both small keys out of the Blue Rupee basement here.
And Datlossit also getting to route this in with the mushroom and doesn't have to worry about any Batcave glitches here because he does have the powder. He does have enough rupees to actually purchase a potion here if he wants to, but he's not gonna do that.
Getting a full heart refill from the Witch's Assistant in a not the usual way. Very nice from Datlossit, as he is en route to Catfish and beyond.
Catfish into Sora, into a save and quit, almost certainly, because we can't flute from the Sora region. Samura1man has done a great job navigating these dark rooms.
It's 2 denied shields from the catfish as Datlossit mirrors away and goes straight into the waterfall, where he will get further rupees to add to his very nice count, getting to 999.
That's a truly unique number of rupees to have. Samura1man has checked all of the locations that he needs to check, so that leaves Helmasaur King. And with this, both our players have checked pretty much the same locations.
Indeed. We'll see where Datlossit. A nice little bomb to go to. Nice little tip for Zora there to go along with the 500. I'm not sure how much that is appreciated, but no reason to scoff at that, as Datlossit's going to save and quit, and let's see where he decides to go from here, blazing the trail for our 2 runners here.
It's not like that Datlossit doesn't have plenty of bombs in the back anyway, so giving one away for free seems like a fair little charity. It's taking out bombs.
We're going to see an Ice Rod Cave check, and see where Datlossit elects to flute from here.
Samura1man is... he does not have the ether to be able to do this room more effectively, but seems to still be doing a pretty good job.
Wow, that's 5 down just like that. And there's number 6. Wow, that's all. I would say that's even more impressive. That was fantastic. Amazing dark turtle rooms here from both of our runners this seed.
And with that, the only thing standing in the way of this crystal is a boss, and we will finally be seeing this entrance to the Dark World via Kakariko. Now, Samura1man does have bottles in the back, so health is not a concern.
Datlossit electing to go into Skull Woods first. See if he can get the 2 items here. Does not have the ability to full clear it as of yet without the Fire Rod, but certainly wanting to see if we can get those 2 items identified, as down goes King Helmasaur for Samura1man, collecting his 2nd crystal.
We will see where he's gonna go after this. He's taking out the mirror, and when Datlossit makes this decision to go here, not having the Fire Rod, and they still like to check that middle room chest, if you know which one I'm talking about.
Absolutely, and with the cane, that will certainly make that a much easier check than it would without.
Indeed, and no small key in the first 2 chests means that you have to take this mandatory small key down here. It's always there.
Yep, to ensure that you cannot sock block if you were to happen to drop into that room, a key is always placed there, and there's another key to go along with.
And the map and the compass, so well, both items still remain at large. Samura1man picks up his ether, still running out, and will be fluting somewhere else.
Well, that would explain exactly why he wasn't ethering at the turtles, because he didn't have it. How about that?
Indeed, and Samura1man will now be making this trip to Death Mountain, and there's a ton of item locations to find.
So both items in Skull Woods appear to be locked behind that Fire Rod, so unfortunately Datlossit's early check coming up with absolutely nothing to show for it other than the knowledge of where those items can be found. Although he does have the big key, so he can check the big key, excuse me.
Yeah, indeed, there is the small possibility, but there's still going to be at least 1 item in the back. I could just as well have skipped that chest.
Well, one item remains in Skull Woods rather than the two, and there's a shield that Samura1man cannot unfortunately deny, and from the old man, and Samura1man is onwards towards Spectacle Rock, trying to get that super speed, but electing to just dash as normal, get a bumper cave check, just 20 rupees from Datlossit out of bumper cave.
And let's have the mirror and boots at hand, and this is basically the best time to check the graveyard area.
Indeed, as we see a piece of heart and 20 rupees in the Spectacle Rock locations, we're going to see Samura1man now. Do we see a Spike Cave right now? No, we do not. So Samura1man is going towards Hera. See if he decides to pop in on the way.
I think he will make the dip in, but I mean, he doesn't have a fire source. If this is basement locked, he will not be able to do much.
There's one of the two items in that 10 arrow upgrade. I didn't see what was that graveyard ledge for Datlossit, but moving on towards to King's Tomb, and it is basement locked for Samura1man. There is a one item locked behind yet another fire source in Tower of Hera.
And while the graveyard ledge had 20 rupees, the king was not very beloved by his people, as he was buried with just 5 rupees. Oh, those dead rocks.
Samura1man still able to identify the island item being yet another big 20, so despite being dead rocked, able to walk away without too much frustration this time.
Dashing through Spiral Cave as Datlossit is now going to be checking the Sea House, and let's find a piece of heart and just more money for Samura1man.
And it's on to Paradox Cave for Samura1man here, as we see what we have in the brewery here for Datlossit.
Well, that's the second row of hearts, and they don't have any mail upgrades. Still quite nice to get some free heart containers.
And a combined 100 rupees in the first two chests. Let's go upstairs and see what we have in the other 5. As yet another big 20 out of the chess game. Not quite making the money back.
It's been quite some time since they actually got a progression item. There's 40 rupees and 10 arrows on the left side here, and our capacity upgrade and some bombs.
Death Mountain relatively scant in its payouts here, as we see a piece of heart out of Thieves, the opening 4 of Thieves Town here for Datlossit.
Now this is a pendant, and some players do opt to just check these first 4 item locations.
Indeed, especially when there happens to be a flute in the big chest, as I might have discovered 24 hours ago.
Oh yeah, I may or may not remember commentating that game.
Well, I hardly remember even playing it at this point. So anyways, we have Samura1man going to be following Datlossit into the Village of Outcasts, and Datlossit is going to go ahead and make sure there is nothing of value here in the back of Thieves Town.
Samura1man starting off here with Skull Woods. Following these item locations here, likely be going into the frogless tour, as to speak, with the shovel game K45 and those areas. But after that, not that many item locations will remain.
I'm getting a little deja vu here as far as the options at this point in the match here, but for our 2 runners here, it may even come down to a potential swamp check. Certainly not the ideal decision, but assuming nothing else comes up empty here, everything else rather comes up empty, that may be where these runners are forced to go.
Well, Swamp is more lucrative than Spy Cave and a Genus Cave. Also quite difficult to get to those two, especially Spy Cave.
Samura1man in the process of discovering what Datlossit already knows in that fire. Nothing of value here to be gained out of this early Skullwoods check. Just 5 rupees out of the big chest with 1 item left behind, which will be Fire Rod locked. Meanwhile, Datlossit is on his way to getting blind out of its cell and moving on towards fully completing this Pendant Thieves.
He's gonna find the red boomerang there, so the small key is in the big chest. Now, I haven't been keeping count of the items in Thieves Town. Is there 1 item remaining or not?
I am not 100% certain either. Presumably there is an item still left as Datlossit is going onwards to defeating Blind, but maybe would be doing this anyway to ensure, just in case there's a pet dream alive.
Well, the dream is alive until it's no longer alive.
And there was indeed an item at Blind. It happens to be the final glove upgrade for Datlossit. What a find and what a payout for seeing Thieves all the way to conclusion.
Well, disregard doing the tour without the frog. Now you can just as well do it. Just deliver the frog and then grab the chest and do the tour with the chest.
That is quite the find for Datlossit. That puts him at a very significant advantage, I would say, depending on when Samura1man elects to go ahead and complete Thieves Town at this point, which may come later rather than sooner at this point.
Yeah, stated there aren't all that many options remaining. Oh, Datlossit wants that boomerang. I already have the red boomerang, but really seems to want to have that blue as well. It's just a very good opportunity to deliver this frog. You have the hammer to check the pegs, you have the powder also, so you can check Bat Cave, and then you grab the chest and you can do the full tour following this. The only real thing lacking here is the book to check Bombo's tablets.
Yeah, otherwise very smooth routing here for Datlossit here with those items to be able to check all these in one fell swoop, save for the Bombo's tablet. So we'll see what we have. And speaking of Bombos, there's the medallion at Hammer Pegs.
Well, now you can enter ice, but do you want to enter ice? Well, I'll take the silence as a no. And even then, it could be an ice where the seed... Well, the seed is always going to require hookshot for ice, correct?
Very well possible. And yeah, I'm not sure anyone really wants to enter ice, even under the most ideal of circumstances. But in any case, Datlossit taking this opportunity as well to give the bat a visit.
It doesn't seem like he really wants to make this trip into Thieves Town right now, but item locations are scarce, and sword is pretty nice.
High five and a tempered sword high five from our runners here as the Magic Bat pays off that sword practically in sync.
So moving up to the Tempered Sword, much more powerful than a Master Sword for the later stages of the game. And the Tempered Silver is more than enough to be able to do everything the game throws at you.
Absolutely, as the purple chest gets grabbed from Datlossit, Samura1man just completing the Village of Outcasts. Let's see if he elects to full clear Thieves, that would be crucial for him to stay in relative proximity to Datlossit here. Going to go ahead and do the chess game first.
Indeed, he's going to go ahead and get his nothing here. Following this, basically Thieves, Swamp, or some one-off locations.
All right, Samura1man is entering Thieves. Will he go full clear or just bow out at the first 4? I would imagine at this point, with the relative few locations, going full clear is the proper play, but we'll see if Samura1man elects to do that as we get 100 rupees from Stumpy.
And money has not been an issue at all this seed, and they've paid for everything except for the big bomb. Yeah, everything except for the big bomb. So here's the interesting thing that these myths open up. Thanks to the mirror and the flute, they can access desert, but maybe you first want to go and do some digging.
Seems like that is what's on Datlossit's mind with that switch to shovel. And we are going to go ahead and get this fetch quest done and dusted immediately. And it does look like Samura1man elected to just check the first 4 of Thieves, and that is going to just put him even further behind at this point.
Ooh, that's absolutely devastating to see, and has to re-go back into that dungeon, and you have to full clear it because of the myth's location being online.
Yep, and we are going to go ahead and do a mire check from Datlossit's perspective.
And they still don't have Lamp or Fire Rod, so they can't actually beat Lanmolas. I think that was Bombos.
Nice dash there from Datlossit, avoiding getting hit there in the mire shed and collecting the Fire Rod and an air capacity upgrade for his reward.
Like I said before, you sometimes disregard whatever I say because the seed is just going to prove me wrong 10 seconds later.
An interesting variant of the commentator curse for sure. Datlossit is going to take this opportunity to go ahead and take care of Desert Palace with that Fire Rod, able to go ahead and full clear this now with the ability to access Landmo.
Samura1man is going to be making the trip into Spike Cave. I believe he's checked everything else up here.
Will this be another hookshot Spike Cave? Only time will tell, as we've got a compass for Datlossit there in the middle top center rune of Desert, heading over to the 2 items here on the right.
Well, the hookshot is one of those few items we're looking for alongside the Ice Rod. Maybe Quake, and maybe the Lamp if they need it. There's a Vanilla Big Key in Desert, and Spike Cave has the final sword! The sword is not the hookshot, and well, it's not any of the other items needed either, so it doesn't really help Samura1man a lot here, and taking out the flute means he's not making this dip into Swamp at least. He's gonna check a Genius Cave. And Samura1man opting to not bomb Agena, even though they get some bombs back.
Alright, where does Samura1man elect to go? Looks like we're getting a swamp check.
Well, you know, it could be vanilla hookshot, and that would actually be pretty good for him.
Yep, and that was a very nice one-cycle Lambo with the silvers from Datlossit, getting the Desert Palace crystal. And that is the third crystal to go along with the Thieves' Town pendant that is required as it has a glove upgrade. So very well executed from Datlossit. Very textbook Lambo fight there with silvers.
Indeed, fantastic for him. Still has a checkerboard left to check here with the Genius Cave, and we will see if it's gonna make a dip into Mire or not, but I imagine it's gonna delay that just a little bit more.
Yeah, I would have to imagine that's pretty far down on his to-do list at this point. We see just another 20 rupees out of the checkerboard cave. Gonna pop over to Agina's cave and get the bombs out of there before moving onward.
And with this fire rod, he can finish off Skull Woods, and there's still one item there. Now, maybe you can make a trip into Turtle Rock, but I'm not sure you want to do that.
Yeah, I don't think right now is not the time to make such gambling plays, but it could be a further, perhaps later on the line, but yeah, that would be rather ambitious right now, as Samura1man having a little bit of difficulty pulling off that hammer dash to get this key and move onward into Swamp. And for his sake, he really wants there to be something of value here to make this dive worth his while.
Yes, very few locations to check after this. And Datlossit is gonna finish off Skull Woods. Makes a lot of sense. One item gets the crystal. Samura1man did find a compass in the first chest, so that, I mean, it's never a good sign when you just have so few item locations to check in the first place.
Alright, we'll see what we have here in this location of Swamp, as Datlossit is en route towards the back of Skull Woods here, looking for that final item. Hopefully we'll find it along with the Mothula kill here, as Samura1man getting just the final shield of the seed, getting a red shield as a result on his way to picking up this key before flooding towards entering his left side.
Sadly, the shield from Catfish has been denied by both of our players, but considering that location, unless Datlossit gets to go mode Swamp, he's gonna open that chest. Let's take a look at this Mothula fight then.
Well, hope you didn't blink, otherwise you missed that fight. Very nicely done once again from Datlossit, as the remaining item was a Mothula in the form of a 50 rupee drop.
What just happened? What? What? I guess that's what happened when Mothula decides to be nice. Zelda, the 50 rupees, the second item is not progression, but it's still the crystal, and Datlossit needs the crystals.
Yeah, I need to start taking notes here from Datlossit's boss fights. Amazing stuff here. Samura1man checking the first left side item here is going to have to ascend twice without the hook shot, getting just a red rupee from the left side item, as Datlossit is going to go ahead and dip into ice. Now with that fire rod to go along with the bombos, giving him every method of completing this dungeon. Now it does not have the hook shot, so depending on key placement, may need to get creative in his routing to be able to get all the items here.
Now you can also bypass that hookshot requirement with a very well placed bomb jump, but it's not the most common bomb jump to do.
Indeed, that's on my agenda of learning, as that was not executed well by myself previously. But in any case, we do see Samurai1man leaving Swamp Palace. I did not see what was in that final chest, but either way, Samura1man is onward back to Village of Outcasts. Maybe we're seeing a Thieves' Town conclusion here.
It was just 20 rupees again.
That seems to be the correct. If I missed it, just assume it's 20 rupees. You'll be right half the time.
Yeah, I think you definitely will be right half the time that you are right half the time. And of course, killing both of those Stalfos with only one bomb, and then using the spike here to line himself up, gets the key with the dash. That was a really fast setup on that bomb jump.
Absolutely immaculate execution all around here from Datlossit. Consider me incredibly impressed by this performance as we were approaching 56 minutes into this race. Very nicely done across the board.
Just these small clever usages of the cape here as well, just to avoid taking damage, but not having it out too long to lose too much magic. It doesn't have half magic and no magic potions in the back, so has to be very careful with how he's managing it, and he's doing very well, and also that good bomb jump again.
Considering these first two bomb jumps, I don't doubt the third will go just as smoothly here. And we do see Samura1man taking a death. Does have that fairy, though, so he will be able to revive. But did not want to use that fairy there, I would assume.
Not at all, and wow, I didn't know you could place the bomb there and actually get that across. It's just extremely clear that Datlossit has been practicing this a lot to make sure that he's got his execution down.
Just a piece of heart for Datlossit here, so that is one of the 3 items contained within Ice Palace here in the form of that heart piece. Let's see what we have here. And there's the compass where the big key is normally found in the vanilla game.
Yeah, still have some item locations left to check here. And Samura1man will be able to get his mitt soon enough, but at this point he is definitely on the back foot. Throws the bomb, drops down right next to the big chest, and opens it with, yeah, the standard.
Good recognition from Datlossit, realizing that without the hook shot, unable to clip past those blocks. That's something I've been guilty of not recognizing in the past. In any case, we have Samura1man on his way to defeating Blind and making the bittersweet discovery of getting the Titan's mitts once Blind is vanquished here.
Indeed, and if you're a Samura1man in this situation, you absolutely think that you are behind.
Oh, 100%. It is not a good feeling that Samura1man is about to experience here.
Double dip, Pendant Thieves' Town to get the mitts. Oh, the lamp is in ice.
That is a rather buried lamp, and Datlossit making the retreat back to go straight for Cold Stare.
And the lamp, of course, is required, but it's considering this caliber of play, it's not really going to be all that needed.
Now, I get the feeling that that may as well have been a single rupee for as much as Datlossit cares about that lamp at this point.
And Samura1man picks up the mitts and immediately heads towards the mire area. Since Datlossit is not a full magic, has to use Bombos here on phase 1. Let's see if he's gonna be able to get closer into the corner.
And a very well executed cold stare fight as well from Datlossit. Gets a small key for his troubles along with his 4th crystal. Or is that 5th? Yeah, it's 5th. I can't count. What a shock.
Such is the life of anyone who speedruns any game. That lost it at this moment. He doesn't have the hookshot for Swamp. He doesn't have Ice Rod for Turtle Rock. And when the plan of full clearing crystal dungeons goes out the window, that's the time when you have to make some other decisions.
Looks like the decision is going to land on a full Death Mountain check at this point for Datlossit, and there's no shortage of items here. Not a whole lot to speak of in the Light World, but we have yet to see what the Dark World contains here in Death Mountain.
He does have Super Bunny Cave, can check 1 item location in Hookshot Cave. But another thing is that he does have a fire source for Tower of Hera, and Samura1man only found 1 item in there, because it was basement locked. And Samura1man will be heading to the back here and finish off Land Molus.
Okay, now do we see a Spike Cave check, or is Datlossit going to leave that for later? Going to leave that for later. Now the next question, does he dip into Hera at this point? He does have the means of getting both items here at this point with both the lamp and fire rod in tow.
Well, it's gonna make the dip, but is he gonna sit through and wait for the tiles? Samura1man has now waited enough, heads into Land Molus, and Datlossit is not bothering with the basement.
Considering the amount of items at his immediate disposal in both zones of Death Mountain here, I can't fault him at all for that decision. We'll just have to see if that comes back to haunt either runner at this point. Samura1man obviously not having the choice. Datlossit having the choice, but electing to move on towards the plethora of items that he has immediate access to in both Light and Dark Death Mountain here.
And there is a possibility for Datlossit after having finished off with, I imagine it's gonna be the 1 item location in Hookshot Cave, that he can just go back into Tower of Hera, because we do know he's not gonna find anything in the Light World here.
Indeed, and maybe then would then have the option of checking Spike Cave as well. So definitely any number of routing considerations here as Samura1man looks to be on his way towards Skull Woods.
At this point, he's just clearing what Datlossit has already done. Now, something that Samura1man may have as an edge is that we know it's just a lamp in ice, so technically you can go mode ice in the future. So there is some time to make up there.
And we'll just come down to see where these Go modems happen to be located, and if they're located in a spot where Samura1man happens to favor over the Ice Palace. That does remain to be seen, as Datlossit is getting the relatively lacking contents of the Paradox Cave here.
Yeah, this was a surprisingly dead Death Mountain in terms of items.
using that strategically placed mirrors portal to go right into the Super Bunny Cave, and we'll see what we have here for Datlossit here as Samura1man makes his way towards Mothula.
There is still a possibility for Turtle Rock to be Quake in this situation, and then they will need to find that medallion as well.
I was waiting for one of those two to be Quake to continue the trend, but not to be, as Datlossit gets those two items here as Samura1man in process of completely taking care of Mothula, being a little too friendly with the spikes, however, to quickly dispatch, but down goes Mothula, and that gets that Skullwood sword. Meanwhile, Datlossit trying to bonk over to the one accessible chest in the Hookshot Cave, that jelly being a little stubborn, but does get a piece of heart for his bonking.
So Datlossit will opt to first see which medallion is needed for Turtle Rock, and that is going to be Ether, so he can enter that.
He certainly can. Let's see, he's definitely going to at the very least activate the portal. Let's see if he elects to do a little bit more than just that. There is 5 chests. There's Mimic Cave. You'd like to have the hook shot, but certainly that doesn't preclude you from being able to clear this thing. Now, you don't have the ability to kill Trinex as of yet without the Ice Rod, but in the scenario where there's an Ice Rod in here, you never know.
You indeed never know, and Samura1man is also going to make this trip into ice. He's just taking the same route that Datlossit has taken at this point.
And we do get a Turtle Rock dive from Datlossit here. It remains to be seen if this is the play or not, but going to go ahead and use that red pot to top off his heart count. Definitely reasonable there, as with green mail, pretty much anything here in Turtle Rock is going to one-shot you on just 2 hearts.
Oh yes, I do have some very nasty chain chomps coming up here, but first, we'll get some bombs, so at least this is a fire rod locked dungeon. Of course, with access to Turtle Rock, it does confirm that Ice Rod and Hookshot are the 2 items that we're looking for, and good here on Datlossit, recognizing that he does not have the Hookshot, so he has to do this room the intended way.
Pair of keys, both big and small, in the roller room. Datlossit, nice cape use there to avoid the rollers, and gonna top off his magic there with that decanter, and on his way towards further Turtle Rock clearance here, about to meet some chain chomps.
Samura1man really struggling to set up this bomb jump. He's fallen down like 4 or 5 times here. I do recall they found 2 fairies in the sea, that is correct. And Datlossit just dodging those chain chomps as it was nothing.
Samura1man continuing to struggle with the vaunted IPPJ here, and almost got it there, but just a little bit too, was a little too high, it looked like. That looks good, and is. So Samura1man through at least the first Ice Palace bomb jump. He may need to perform a few more to be able to route this dungeon in the ideal manner.
Indeed, as the lack of hookshot makes this Ice Palace trip a bit risky in that department.
And nice Super Mario World Mario sprite to be the bunny form of the Sonic sprite. Shoutouts to that sprite.
And shoutouts to the other Kane here in here in Turtle Rock.
Just after being able to Kane dash. Oh well. But nice further safety for Datlossit with the Burnicane.
And Samura1man also recognizing that he does not have the hook shot. And Mimic Cave can... I mean, by all accounts, Mimic Cave is Turtle Rock in terms of where it's located.
Alright, Mimics, what do you got? Just a little love. And a 13th heart container for Datlossit as a result.
Well, it's just a vanilla this time, but a full refill is always nice. Samura1man picks up his lamp. Oh, are you kidding me?
That is the hook shot as the big chest reward from Turtle Rock. And, wow. Buried hook shots. What do you know?
Well, now you can clear Swamp, so that is very likely where Datlossit is headed after he's checked Laser Bridge. Question is, will he find the Ice Rod first? Samura1man has a blue potion, correct?
Yes. And uses that to finish off the Fire Rod's charges to reveal Cold Stare, and with the Butter Sword, this should be a rather accelerated fight, and down goes Cold Stare in no time at all. And that is Ice Palace cleared for Samura1man, as Datlossit is hoping to find an Ice Rod here in this Laser Bridge.
Now there's the map and the compass in the first two chests, and the third or the fourth will have a small key, so there's only one item here. Well, that blue mail does confirm that the Ice Rod is in fact not here.
So let's see if we see Datlossit do some portal strategy here in his exit from this dungeon here, as Samura1man is fluting to Death Mountain after his Ice Palace completion.
Well, a trip into Turtle Rock will give him the hook shots. It does seem like Datlossit is not quite done here. Is he going up to Hookshot Cave?
I would have to assume, and maybe even going to go ahead and maybe see Hera through, potentially, but I would have to assume Hookshot Cave at the very least.
Looks like Samura1man is going back into Tower of Hera. If the Ice Rod is in here, this is going to be very good for him. That is assuming that Datlossit is not going to go back into Hera after this.
And there's the Ice Rod. Hookshot Cave chest number 2. That is a required T-Rock double dip for this seed, and Datlossit's going to turn right back around and go ahead and finish what he started here in Turtle Rock.
Oh man, this time it wasn't the medallion for Turtle Rock in the cave next to it, it was the Ice Rod instead. Regardless of what, that is go mode for Datlossit, and he's gonna finish off Turtle Rock first, and then he's gonna go ahead and do Swamp.
Yeah, but Chain Chomp's providing a little bit of resistance, saying, okay, you got go mode, but you gotta get past us first, pal. And but with the fairy, can just walk right past And there's a couple bombs Datlossit gives in response, and that will be that for the Chain Chomps.
Well, 13 hearts blue mail is not the safest, but I have to remember that blue mail was on Laser Bridge. Sadly, this trip into Tower of Hera for Samura1man is not going to work out, but he is 99.9% certain he is behind, and he feels like he has to make this gamble.
Yeah, the routing, the seed has just not matched up well with his routing decisions. I can only empathize with that, to be sure. Datlossit making all the right plays with some excellent execution to boot, and is on his way towards finishing off Trinex with that newly obtained Ice Rod, and onwards to clearing out Swamp as well.
Indeed, it's a commanding lead that Datlossit has at this point, because remember, Samura1man has to go into Turtle Rock to get the hook shot, and then go all the way back in again after he finds the Ice Rod.
Samura1man getting the green pendant from Moldorm at this point. That's only going to be another choice that would only lead to further delays at this point, as we know that green pendant is not going to give what he wants. Unfortunately, Datlossit on his way to Trinex to get his penultimate crystal and continue with his rather sizable advantage here.
And also standing behind Trinex, very difficult to execute. Now that strike there did a lot of damage.
Needs to exercise a little bit of caution here, but this last phase does take a death here.
He does have the second fairy.
Yes, he does.
So he's still safe, but after this, no more fairies.
Perfect world, you'd like to have preserved that fairy for perhaps a Ganon's Tower Ascension, but gotta use it when you gotta use it. So Datlossit utilizing that revival, taking care of Trinex, collecting 50 rupees as his reward, along with crystal number 6, as I'm recalling how to count with the benefit of my two hands.
Indeed, he just has Swamp left, and he could opt to take the flute and just fly over to the witch, has plenty of rupees to spend on 2 more blue potions. Seeing him taking out the hammer means that he has his eyes set on the final crystal. Samura1man here sadly has to make his forced double dips into Turtle Rock. And at this point, there is only really one item that can help Datlossit, and that is half magic, since we do not know that the final sword upgrade is in Spy Cave.
Indeed, that would be a nicely received convenience, but I don't foresee Datlossit's going to spend any more time than necessary trying to find it, as I'm sure that the standard magic bar is more than enough for him to vanquish the rest of the seed, Ganon included, as Datlossit is in the process of go-moding Swamp, something that any veteran runner of Link to the Past Randomizer certainly does with much joy.
Much joy indeed, but this actually means he's not going to pick up that shield. That's also not going to matter. At this point, this is a commanding lead for Datlossit. Now, do you think he's gonna check the waterfall chest here?
Possibly. If he's going to check any, it would be that, but it wouldn't shock me if he were to just run right past either at this point. But we shall see here in just a few seconds. And just a big key for the check, but that'll be it for Swamp outside of the Argus reward here, as Datlossit is just a few rooms away from finishing out his crystal collection.
I'm pretty certain Samura1man does not have any more fairies.
Nice attempt at a no or one cycle Argus here from Datlossit. Just further impressive execution here. Doesn't get the no cycle, but quickly gets through the first phase of the Argus fight, and a well-timed silver arrow, and down goes Argus. That puts him at all 7 crystals right at 1 hour and 22 minutes, and that means we have a game to play.
Indeed, we do have this little game to play here about the potential location for this big key in Ganon's Tower. It's one of 22 different item locations where it can be, so get your guesses in where you think it is going to be. And also, if you're a subscriber to any of the Speed Gaming channels and or have donated a total of 250 bits, and you're the first to guess right, you'll be entering the leaderboard.
Absolutely, feel free to throw out a number at your choosing at this time. Remember, this is an exhibition, no wagering, please. And I've thrown out a random number 5 as my guess. Do you have any particular chest in mind for the big key here?
You know, I'm just happy as long as Bob dies.
We will see if Bob gets the gets that treatment or not here momentarily, as Datlossit is on way towards utilizing the Turtle Rock portal here to get onwards to Ganon's Tower here with a very impressive time, given where these items were located here. This is just an absolute master class here from Datlossit here this morning. Very, very impressive.
The routing has been excellent, the execution on bosses and bomb jumps have been fantastic as well. This is still a seed with a forced double dip into Turtle Rock, so being able to enter Ganon's Tower at about 1 hour 24 minutes is incredible.
Yeah, I can't speak for Datlossit, but if I were in his shoes, I would think I would be shocked if I weren't in the lead at this point from his perspective. As we see chest 1 having a green rupee and chest number 2 a piece of heart. No right side for now for this Ganon's Tower clearance, as we're on to the left. We'll see what we have on the torch.
Yeah, this is a forced left side, and just a big heart on the torch makes me really sad.
Bob lives to see yet another day.
Samura1man has taken this back entrance, so this death is not as bad as it could have been.
Let's see, we we'll see what we have in 4 through 7. Chest 4 is a small key. There's your half magic in chest number 5. And we have a small key number 3 in 6. And there's big key in chest number 7. 7 is your winner.
Not only do you get the big key, you get 3 small keys, all you would ever need, and you get half magic. I mean, it's not big key in number 1, but that's still really good.
And Samura1man taking yet another fall here in Turtle Rock after getting what he can, and let's see if he goes right to Hookshot Cave to get that ice rod. Certainly making the right initial moves here towards that play indeed.
Indeed, it is going to give him his go mode item, but he is so far behind at this point. It's time to watch some Fire Rod Silver Arrow executions here in the Gauntlet.
There's the ice rod for Samura1man, and Samura1man taking no extra time to turn right back around and head right back into Turtle Rock.
And Datlossit here with silver arrows on the Molus. Unfortunate miss on the second shot.
Interestingly, Samura1man floating out of Death Mountain and looks to be onwards to Swamp now with that hook shot. Which actually makes... that's not a bad choice at all, considering that you're just going to have to go right back to Death Mountain to get to Ganon's Tower anyway. So, not a big deal at all, actually, that play. As Datlossit is through the Gauntlet, through Landmo 2, onwards to the final phases of Ganon's Tower.
It doesn't really make too big of a difference here for Samura1man in the order he's going to do these crystals. And sometimes these guards just like to stop your dash for whatever reason. And Datlossit taking advantage of the invulnerability frames from the fall and manages to just dash past the fire bar. And Datlossit not checking any chests, he's not interested in finding a final sword upgrade here.
Yeah, at this point, all Butter does is allow you to perform 4 fewer slashes in each of the first 2 phases of the Ganon fight, and at this point, that's the least of Datlossit's concerns at this point, as yet another clean boss kill with Moldorm 2 vanquished in no time at all is going to go ahead and check the final chest and find 3 bombs prior to making his way to Aga 2 and Ganon.
It's unlikely those 3 bombs will ever see themselves being put to use. While the bombs may be sad to not be used, I think that Datlossit going to be pretty happy with the way that he's played this seed.
Yeah, I struggle to think of anything that he would be disappointed in at this point. Two hits in the first 2 cycles of Aga 2 here for Datlossit, and there's yet another single with the actual Aghanim not really doing a lot of help and allowing for some doubles here, and there's another single.
These patterns leave a lot to be desired. Oh, that's snipe though. Very nice final shot for Datlossit, as he will now be making his final journey in the seed, the one into Ganon. And as Ganon screams stuff, Samura1man picks up his second to last crystal of the seed. And Datlossit just breezing through this fight already in phase 3. Samura1man is gonna buy some potions before making the trip back into Turtle Rock, but the problem is buying potion when your opponent get the first shot with silver arrows in is quite too late. Oh, very unfortunate that Datlossit was attempting to go for a triple.
Gets that last shot in. That is done and dusted for Ganon. Datlossit will take the victory and will be moving on to the bracket stage with his 5th victory in the Swiss tournament. GG to Datlossit, a very well played seed all in all for him, and congratulations are in order.
That's absolutely fantastic to watch. An incredible performance by Datlossit to finish it with an official speed racing TV time of 1 hour, 31 minutes, 46 seconds.
Once again, a very impressive time considering what all the seed had in store, and that is a fantastic time and a deserving entry into the 128-man bracket phase. Very well played from Datlossit, and GG to you.
We will see if we can try and get Datlossit in here for an interview.
In the meanwhile, while we're seeing if we can't have Datlossit join us, we do see Samura1man making his forced double dip into Turtle Rock here. And we will see him complete his seed here as well. And we are joined by our victor this morning, Datlossit. Congratulations, and very nicely played all round. GG.
Thank you very much. Oh, I had to run to the bathroom real quick after that. That seed, though, like... That seed was pretty straightforward throughout until that Turtle. Like... It's much... As I was best trying to describe it, like, I skipped it Meyer, and I skipped to go into Hera because base run was required to do any further. And I thought to myself, I've done pretty much everything, including clearing Ice Plasma for, like, if Hookshot or Ice was backing Hera or Meyer, I would have lost already. I knew at that point I had no choice but to go for TR. Otherwise, it would have been Spike Cave. I did skip that too. Otherwise, this was pretty much a full clear. But I felt like my execution was fire this run. Like, I pretty much did the entire overworld since the quest lines identifying. And apparently the bug was on the pedestal.
Yeah, I mean, despite it being a rather full clear, this was I felt a very impressive performance all the same. Electing to full clear Thieves Town, getting those mitts, whereas your opponent Samura1man elected to only do the first 4, so that definitely gave an advantage from the start, and it just kind of snowballed from there. Quite honestly, everything just worked out, and given where these items were, finishing just over an hour and a half, I am very impressed, and this was a very well executed all round. Congratulations once again.
Yeah, thanks again. My execution was just on fire this run, but I wasn't happy with a few boss fights. Like, I completely messed up my strat for armors. And that shrine was horrible. Like, that double death in TR was pretty horrid. Like, just got bad chump RNG trying to dash on through, and I just messed up. I lost one of my fairies in the process.
Yeah, after the Armos Knights, pretty much every single boss kill was quite impressive, and yeah, it would have been nice to have preserved the fairy in Turtle Rock, but you had the backups, and they were utilized to great effect. So not 100%, but I would be quite pleased with the execution of this, and it certainly led to a pretty comfortable victory here for you this round. So once again, nicely done, as we do see Samura1man beginning his Ganon's Tower clearance here, finding those first 2 non-key items in the right side, going immediately to the left, as was the case from your play as well, of course.
Yeah, most of the fights were pretty good overall. Like, I got a little scared on Ganon because I messed it up, because what happened was that for some reason, for a split second, the game accepted an up input I didn't even press, and it completely messed up my attempt to go for a triple, so I had to save that. It could have gone real bad, or even a full could have happened. Because I felt at that point, like, if there was any chance of this being a close race, then Sam would have probably had gone straight for Tower Rock or something. I didn't feel like I was behind at all this race, even going to Gita. I felt this was just going to be down to him. He went to TR as well after getting those mitts. Because I did end up clearing Ice Palace for nothing. Thought about Maya, skip that as well. Nice Fire was there as well, right in the Maya shed, but the other thing I was worried about as well is that I put off DM for almost an entire hour in, and I just got worried that maybe he could have gone there earlier. I found both the Ice Run and Hook Shot.
Well, Samura1man has stated it did make a forced double dip for him into Thieves Town, and he even bumped into Swamp Palace before finding the hookshot.
Oh, that's rough. I personally do not never go in the swamp without the hookshot ever. Even if I have like the mitts or something, like it's just, I think it's just better if you don't have a hookshot. Just pull off swamp as much as you can, because it's already low odds from my personal experience that Swamp can even have anything in it. So I just tried to put it off as much as I could. I just felt Ice Palace, it was full clearable, so it was a bad play. Sure, it lost me lots of time, but fine. Oops, sorry about my lyrics house. Anyway, it kind of sucks. I knew, because how Ice Palace was laid out, that it was hookshot locked because the big key was not on the right side. So I knew at that point that the hookshot had to be somewhere pre-Ice Palace. But unfortunately I did go right side completely using those bomb jumps and it didn't pay off. It lost me quite a bit of time now. I wasn't happy with that cold stare fight as well, because I tried to go for a quick kill using Boot Stash, poking your sword out so it does normal damage to cold stare, but I completely pushed it and he got out of the corner.
As Samurai1man here is gonna be fighting against Lenmolas. You, Datlossit, were actually ahead from the get-go in this tournament because Samura1man did not know you could use the mirror to get to the entrance of Hyrule Castle.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of thing the easy over miss, that Zelda can still follow you with a mirror. It's something you just kind of have to find out on the whim or someone tells you. It took me a while as well for me when I first started to find out that was the case. I felt like I routed this seed like ridiculously well, like despite the risk going straight into pod with no backups except Aether for the turtles in the back before Helmosaur. I felt this seed was really well routed, like I went straight to High Island, went straight to Hobo, got me at the cave, and then after pod just finished up Pyramid, Ton of the Mushroom, Catfish, and Sora, and all like. Which nice because they did nag the Master Sword later on the Sora list. I thought about backtracking the Graveyard Ledge because I did. Actually, no, I couldn't. I'm dumb. I don't have the hookshot. Because I need the hookshot to get across the river. That.
Yeah, the item layout definitely led to some smooth routing, and definitely that was taken advantage of to its fullest extent in this race, to be sure. So this victory ensures you're going to move on to the brackets. Congratulations. How do you find yourself at this point, knowing that you will be moving on out of the Swiss meat grinder here?
I'm honestly completely surprised. I had very low confidence coming into this tournament because I felt that despite all my execution practice, that my luck was just not going to back it up. And because in my luck in practice and races, use kind of tends to be really bad. But I'm just surprised that my luck this tournament has just been absolutely ridiculous. Like, especially because I had some ridiculous cases in my matches throughout this tournament. Especially this one that forced the TR double dip, like. Because as I said, I had to pretty much gamble TR at that point, and I felt it was a huge risk. Because there was still Hera and Misery Maya left, especially to Hearthstone 2. Or even the pedestal, because that was the book. But yeah, again, I'm just pretty surprised I made it. Like, I'm probably gonna expect to get absolutely destroyed now in the tournament, but I still consider the achievement I actually still made to the brackets. That I will take.
Yeah, that makes two of us as far as preparing to get absolutely demolished in the first round. But hey, still no small accomplishment to get through the Swiss stages with at least five wins. And given the skill displayed here, I honestly am not shocked at all that you made it to the bracket phase. This was very impressive once again, and a well-earned bracket spot, to be sure. Meanwhile, we see Samura1man dealing with these rather interesting angles provided by Agatu after giving the final chest of Ganis Tower a little bit of additional treatment, most likely in response to how the seed was laid out for Samura1man. But Agatu is down and onwards to the final Ganon fight for Samurai.
That Aghanim was horrid. Like, that's probably one of the worst Aghanim patterns I've seen in quite a long time, consistently in a row. Just no good setups to get any doubles, just constantly got single hits, and controlled by Aghanim himself with the blue balls. I have to warn as well, did my opponent by any chance buying a golden sword? I was wondering what that was. I thought about checking for a DT upstairs, but I opted not to because I felt the race could have been very close at that point.
Samura1man located his final sword in Spike Cave.
And so Ganon is not being very kind to Samura1man.
Looks like the second try will be all that will be needed for Samura1man. Again, much respect for him for seeing this through, as he is clearly aware of his fate in this race, but still finishing through to its conclusion, and much respect for him. He is a very well-known runner, and definitely has earned my respect for sure.
Absolutely. The sea just didn't work out very well with how he wanted to route it.
And there's Ganon vanquished for Samura1man, taking second place in this race, but still a very respectable time of his own. GG to Samura1man.
GG.
Finishing with an official SRTV time, 1 hour, 46 minutes, and 5 seconds. And we are enjoyed, in fact, by Samura1man. GG's to you, sir.
Hey, thanks.
GG on your finish.
GG's on your victory. Datlossit. The scene was just, I don't know, it just gave you everything, then it just stopped giving you everything. And I just made a gamble to go to Swamp.
Yeah, Thieves Town being the major difference there with the final glove upgrade there at Blind's possession there. Datlossit did elect to go ahead and full clear Thieves Town on the first visit. You making the play to back out after the first 4. Considerable considering that this was a pendant, but in this case it did have a item of importance there at Blind. So that was a major turning point right there.
I felt this could have gone much different. Like, I would definitely bail out of Thieves Town if I found 3 items in the back, but if I only found 2 at that point, and I felt it was just too risky at that point, and just thought off to full clear. Like, if it was 3 items, I definitely would have tried to skip the rest of Thieves.
I was honestly thinking of full clearing Thieves Town when I got those 2 heart pieces. I was thinking there might not be anything, then it just turned back against me. So from that point, when I went to Swamp, I found nothing. I just had to start making gambles because I knew I'm gonna lose this if I don't make anything to happen.
From my perspective, I thought that if you full clear the Thieves Town as well, on the same pace as me, I felt that if I sort of or Hookshot were back in Mire and Hare, because I skipped both of those dungeons completely, I felt that at the point I might already lost, so I just straight up gambled straight and went into DR, hoping that they were there, and there was a Hookshot straight into a force to TR double dim in Hookshot Cave, the Ice Rod. I died twice as well, losing both of my fairies in DR. I got sniped by the chain chomps, and then Tronix ended up sniping me trying to go for double spin attack, so I ended up losing both fairies. I didn't restock on any potions at all before going to GT, so I only had 1 spare. I
didn't lose my berries until like mid-game, I think. I will clear Eastern and Palace without Lamp. Those were my first 2 dungeons.
Yeah, that lamp was really troubling, that being that late in the scene, and I opted to do Dark Runes both Pod and Eastern Palace. I was a little worried about doing Eastern because the only backup I had for the Toast before Helmsur was Aether, which does kill them instantly, and I felt that was going to get really ugly, and it went surprisingly well. Usually it goes much worse in that room. Because I had nothing at that point, no Fire Rod either, only Fire Sword.
Yeah, I had nothing either. When I went to Ice Palace after, like, I think I went there after, I can't remember when I went there, but I think it was Desert Palace I did first, then I went to Ice Palace. When I found 2 items there, I was like, okay, I'm gonna gamble this boss, because I was just thinking I'm behind all the time after that Thieves Town meets.
Yeah, I did the same route as well. I opted for Desert first, just to check what Mire is. But I thought at that point, I just found Barmos, I think, in Checkerpool Cave, or somewhere close around there. Oh no, actually the fire rod of my turn. I thought at that point, you know what, that opens up Ice Palace, it's telling me to go ice. I'm gonna go straight in next as well.
Yeah, I did the same thing. If I want bombos, I would have gone to Myra. I would have definitely done that.
Can't remember where I got bombos. I think I got it in... Actually can't remember. Oh yeah, bombos was in the hammer pegs.
No, I never did those. I skipped frog, purple chest, and hammerbags, but I did the Batman. I got all of the sports.
I only had temperate, and apparently your last was in Spike Cave, which I did not do. I went straight into TR.
Yeah, that was like one of the last locations I did before I went to Swamp, because I didn't want to go to Pendant Thieves Town.
I pretty much full cut the entire overworld sans the tablets. Apparently the book was on the pedestal. I did absolutely everything, including cafes, Sora, and all the like.
Pedestal. Yeah, it said in a credits storybook on a pedestal. But yeah, I just made a bad campus. Hopefully I won't do them next race. But it happens, it's randomizer.
I honestly hope you make it as well to the brackets. You still have another chance, and I hope you will make it as well.
I'm not quite sure what happens if you go 4-3 without wins and losses. You still have a really slim chance, but I'm hoping for a victory, so I will be able to get to the bracket.
As I know of, that if there are enough dropouts, one player with a 4-3 win-lose ratio will make it if they're chosen. Otherwise, it's just one person that's going to make it, and I think it's going to be random.
Yeah, it's we know for a fact there is going to be a minimum of at least one person advancing to the brackets from the 4 and 3, and it's going to be based on tiebreakers, which are completely based on your opponent's records and then the records of your opponent's opponents. So while you do have a chance, it's more or less outside of your control and going to be based on tiebreakers based on those factors, is my understanding. So definitely prefer to be one of the at least 60 people that will get their bracket entry in week 7.
There's also going to be over 100 players finishing with a score of 4-3, so the one out of those is going to be very difficult.
Yeah, and as well, thank you again for restreaming us. Like, I'm really glad we still put on a really great show for both of us.
Yeah, thanks for the restream.
Randomizer just doesn't go right for you, but I wish you the best of luck, Sam, in your next match. I hope you really make it to the brackets.
Yeah, let's hope so. Well, it's a randomizer. Anything can happen. Just need to make the right place. Sometimes a little bit of gamble, then it just either backfires you or it doesn't. But yeah, good GG's and good luck on your bracket. Then I don't think you have to worry about the next week. You do. Either is a loss or a win.
Yeah, GG to you as well. I am still going to be playing my next match, my last one, because why not? Put on another show.
Yep, for those at 5 and 1, week 7 is more or less a warm up for the bracket phase, going against someone else that will be in the brackets as well. But one more chance to make it to the brackets, Samura1man, and again, best of luck to you, and thanks to both of you guys for putting up a fantastic race. This was truly a pleasure to watch and commentate for, and it was truly a joy to take part in. Thanks a lot. And Martovich, anything else to add to this as we're going to go ahead and put this one to bed?
And of course, I'd also like to thank our tracker, Iceman F1, for helping out. And of course, do follow all of our Twitch channels. That's SpeedGaming 1-6 and ALTTP Randomizer 1-4. And with that, I've been Marjevich.
And I've been CDV.
We hope to see you all in the not too distant future.